Welcome to Engineer Versus. Today we're going to be talking about the FE exam. What's the FE exam? It's the fundamentals of engineering. So it's sort of the gateway to your engineering career. And part one, why bother? Why even look at doing this exam? If you're in school, in college, or even out of college, or if you're going back, why should I study hard and try to do well on this exam? What's going to matter to me? That's what I'm hoping to go through here today. So overall, the FE exam, we're going to go through some of the things and the steps that you might have in your career. So the FE exam and an undergrad degree is typically what you're going to be needing in order to be a professional engineer. So in the United States, it's called a PE. Other places, the UK, in Europe, you might have the PE engineering, or even in Canada. But the idea is the FE becomes the first test that you take, and then with an undergrad degree, you can couple those two together, and you will be able to study for the professional engineering exam, which, in my opinion, is even easier than the FE exam. So the difference here is you can't just go take the FE and take the undergrad with your undergrad degree and be immediately qualified. You also need to qualify this with experience. Usually it's 3 to 4 years. Sometimes it can be more like 6, depending on where you go. But overall, PE is what you're aiming for here. PEs, professional engineers, they do more, they lead more, they make more. These are the guys in charge. So if you want to be part of a leadership team at an engineering firm or even a major global firm, a PE can get you there. And where do you start? An FE. So PE and engineering involves overcoming challenges, again, finding the solutions, working with people, materials, interactions, and looking for the best outcomes and solutions that you're aiming for. This also tends to have an ethical aspect to it too. So you may hear a lot about those aspects and how the PR it becomes the biggest challenge. Well, not with PEs. They're looking for the actual results. And that all starts with the fundamentals of engineering exam. All right, so let's take a look at some of the other items of why bother. Money. You can do it for the money, which is definitely there. So this is taken September 20th, 2014 from PayScale. Thank you very much. But it only covers 5 of the different PEs here that are related. So civil engineering, mechanical, project engineer, structural engineer, and electrical. So this kind of runs the gambit. It doesn't have chemical in here, and it does not have computer science or computer engineering, which is sort of a tangential relationship. But you can see where the pay scales wind up, depending on, of course, what your years of experience are and what the jobs are, as well as your location. So if you're working in, say, Atlanta, Georgia, it's not going to pay as well as, say, LA or DC or New York City or Chicago, just by city comparison. And even if you're outside of, Atlanta, it's going to even pay less. So you can get those cost of living aspects together with that, because usually in those areas, the projects and what you're looking at has less demand. So civil engineer, for instance, they took 1,326 and they aggregated that together. They split it up, figured out how much that is. And you can see the pay scale here is between $54,000 to $101,000. So again, this is not taking into account your region or your location. And mechanical engineering, project engineer. So mechanical engineering, same deal that they did here. It's slightly higher averages. Project engineer is basically if you're working on any particular project, say a building project or temporary projects that might be going in, aside from like say civil engineering, you might be under this category as project engineers, and that's where a lot of this group went together. Structural engineers, again, they're helping out maybe with civil engineers, but they might be doing more of the structural side of it for buildings as well, as any other of the structural aspects that might be in bigger or medium-sized projects. And you can see that the pay scale here is a little bit smaller as far as the top cap there. It's a little bit squished down just because they have the less salaries to choose from. Electrical engineering, and of course electrical engineering is a little bit higher than all the rest. But the idea is in engineering, you're typically going to be running up against these scales. And this is what we're talking about for engineering. Now, the thing is that a lot of people will say is, oh, well, I can make more as an accountant, lawyer, dentist. Yeah, in some ways you can. But I'll also say, as a professional engineer myself, registered, I make outside of these boundaries far and above that as my base salary. So you can definitely anticipate once you're out of school for a time and you're doing well at your job, you can start to negotiate that into bigger, better projects, better jobs, and you take on those leadership roles. You get to almost name your own salary. Again, you're also chasing the jobs, you realize the work that's out there, and you start to realize not just at your own company or in your location, but even regionally and nationally, you can become recognized within different engineering societies, engineering groups, as you contribute to the societies. And as you're doing these different projects, you will gain renown and recognition. This isn't something where you're going to be just operating in a vacuum behind a desk all the time. This is something that you can really work into making a big, big difference and getting the money out of it. I mentioned a little bit about the next part, and that's career. So you can start to build a career once you get the FE, pass the FE exam. And again, here's some differences with just career versus job. Again, a career is lifelong. It has goals. Yes, you can do a career switch, and with engineering, it's very tangential with some of the things that you might end up doing with your engineering degree. Mechanical engineers might start out that way, but then venture into chemical engineering, depending on what they're doing, and vice versa. But a job is just a job. Think of it as like temporary that you might do for the summer. Think beyond that, okay, for an engineering specialty. And requirements are usually you're going to aim towards something and you're going to want to aim towards a niche. So get really good at it and you'll become well known. And that FE exam, you can really start to absorb a lot of those aspects before taking your PE, and have direction when you're taking the FE, and you'll be led that direction toward the PE. It makes life a little bit easier for you. A job, again, no special training. Commitment is usually long term because it's a career. So we're talking not lifelong, but think of it in terms of 5, 10 years. And it's really something that you can base a good standing work on, and you can make it very solid and build a family around it, do all the things that you're looking to do. Job, again, short term. You can go from spot to spot, say, as an HVAC technician. Sure, you can just jump from job to job as much as you want. Benefits, monetary and non-monetary. Job, you got some wages. Usually the employer sets them, wants you to do something. Probably it's repetitive, probably it's predictable. They just need somebody to do the work for them. On the other hand, if you're the engineer, you're hiring people to do these jobs, okay? And to also hire other engineers so that they will help you with some of the basics that have looked at in engineering, you already understand, but now you're in that leadership role, can definitely tell when something's going right and when it's going wrong. So advancement, again, the possibilities are open. Ownership, leadership, start your own firm, you get your own PE, you can hang up your own shingle and go out and get your own projects. Many engineers do. This is why that there's not like some big consolidation of engineering practices. It's the same as like say doctors and so on. Not major firms that have plenty of doctors. Whenever a group of doctors and just like them, group of engineers can get together, small group, and start their own firm, or even single guys can just go out there and do the work on their own. All right, contribution to society. So this is community leadership for betterment. You can contribute your skills, you can do nonprofit work, you can do a whole mess of different things in projects, whether it's within the United States, in other growing countries. You can definitely lend your skills there and take your knowledge that you might have learned, accumulated, and take that overseas. You can definitely be valued by other groups there, and you can definitely make that into a career there as well. Job, on the other hand, you don't get any of that. Not really. I mean, it comes for, hey, I've been doing this for 10 years. Yes, you really do know what you're doing if you've been doing a job for 10 years. But that career will have seen that job, understand what that job entails for the most part, and understand all the aspects that go in before it, after it, what the outcomes are, and all the other aspects, and have worked with people and assigned those jobs to other people, say contractors or builders or um, any others that might be have those jobs that just go out and do the work that you're asking them to do. So the other thing is there's this that has this phrase about negative impact when protecting jobs. So you might hear a lot in politics and on the radio or in the news about going to find jobs and producing jobs. These are jobs, and what you need to get is a career, and that's where the FE exam comes in. All right, so study hard, and you can definitely get that FE plus your engineering degree. That will lead you to the money. You'll definitely start out earning the cash, and that'll also lead you down the road, and not too far down the road, to getting a professional engineering degree or professional engineering license. And from that, you can expect even more money and a career and the respect of your community. Also, if you're a professional engineer, you'll be respected as a peer within other professional engineers and nationwide, worldwide. You can carry that with you, keep it current, and keep it going. But it all starts back here with that FE exam. So that's why you should bother. All right. Thank you for attending, and hope this has been helpful. And we'll move on to part two pretty soon.